He's by fire. We want to dive now into the captivating tale of a singer-songwriter who left everything but his guitar abroad to get to the bloody Sinai battlefield of the Yom Kippur War and be with his people in their, and in retrospect, his moment of truth. Joining us now is journalist Matti Friedman, who traced Leonard Cohen's tormenting and to an extent resurrecting journey with the Israeli soldiers on the front lines. Matti, thank you so very much for speaking to us today. So at what point of his life, Leonard Cohen that is, did the Yom Kippur War caught him?
So by the time the Yom Kippur War breaks out, Leonard Cohen is a major star. He's had major hits like Suzanne and So Long, Marianne. He's kind of a famous figure from the 60s folk scene, but he's hit a wall. He feels like he's at a creative dead end. He's in an unhappy relationship. He's 39 years old. He's a father for the first time. So he's kind of an artist in crisis. He's announced that he's retiring from music, that he has nothing left to say. And just at this moment of darkness in his personal and professional life, the Yom Kippur War breaks out, and he sees in Israel's crisis a way out of his own crisis. So he gets on a plane and inserts himself into this catastrophe in October 1973.
Beaten, shocked, weary soldiers on a brief break from a battlefield. I can think of a more uplifting music than Leonard Cohen's to better their spirits. But what was his? What was he playing there? How did everything unplugged? Of course. How did the soldiers react to him? Do we know?
So these were not big concerts. Some people imagine that it's kind of like a Bob Hope style tour where it's bases far from the fighting and big kind of amphitheaters full of soldiers. But that's not what this was. Leonard Cohen was traveling around the front in a Jeep with a few other musicians, and they would just stop where they saw soldiers, get out of the Jeep, put together some kind of improvised stage using ammunition crates. And if they needed spotlights, they would just use the headlights of tanks or headlights of the Jeep. And they just stand up and play some music, and Leonard Cohen would play the songs that people knew, which at that time were So Long, Marianne and Sisters of Mercy and Suzanne. And as you said, none of this is particularly uplifting or cheerful, but it turns out that soldiers don't really need to be cheered up. They're not going to be cheered up. They're in one of the darkest moments of their lives. And what Leonard Cohen could offer was not to raise their morale, but what he was offering them was empathy, in a sense that he felt their situation, that he, like them, was capable of staring into the abyss, and these people were very close to the edge. They were looking at death, and Leonard Cohen knew that these songs that he was playing for them could be the last things that they heard. And there's something about how serious Leonard Cohen is and his ability to establish a very deep emotional connection with an audience. That's what delivered the power of these concerts.
I'm listening to you, Matti, and it reminds me of this story of an English soldier coming back from the battlefield of World War II and meeting this student for philosophy and asking him, like, I was fighting on the front lines, and you were here studying. I was there to protect civilization while you were studying, and he replied to him saying, "I am civilization. You're protecting me." So to an extent, maybe Leonard Cohen was, a reminder for the soldiers there what they're fighting for. But let's talk about the evident mark the war left on Leonard Cohen, on his creation. A song we all know was written right there.
Right. So a few songs come out of this war experience, although Leonard Cohen almost never mentioned the war afterward, which is very strange because it was clearly a very deep experience for him. But a few songs came out of it. One is called Lover, 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 which is kind of a beloved Cohen song. It's not as famous as Hallelujah, but it's a song that he played in concert until the very end of his life. And Lover, Lover, Lover was written at an Israeli Air Force base. It was written between two concerts, played for an audience of pilots and air crew, people who were flying these incredibly dangerous missions over the Suez Canal and over the Golan Heights, and really, what was really the worst moment in the history of the Israeli Air Force. The losses were so high that they were being concealed from the public. So he really was playing for people who could get in their jet 5 minutes after the concert and never come back. And it's a very charged situation. And he writes this song called Lover, 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 which might sound like a love song if you just look at the title. If you look at the lyrics, it's not a love song at all. And it ends with a very strange verse.
And may the spirit of this song, may it rise up pure and free. May it be a shield for each of you, a shield against your enemy.
That doesn't really sound like a love lyric, but if you do understand that it's written in a war for an audience of people fighting a war, then it begins to make more sense. I think Leonard Cohen was trying to protect them with the song. And when I wrote this book, Who by Fire, which is the story of this tour and the story of the war, I realized that Leonard Cohen wasn't just entertaining the troops. He had the idea that somehow these songs might protect them. It might help them get them through the battle. And after the war, of course, he writes an even more famous song, which is called Who by Fire, which is inspired by the liturgy of Yom Kippur. And all of this happens in these very kind of chaotic weeks of the war, and then in the months immediately after the war, where Leonard Cohen is processing what was a very rattling experience. It wasn't, he didn't leave here waving the Israeli flag and singing Hatikvah. He was very shaken by what had happened. And he was shaken in a way that really enabled him to sing again. He'd announced that he was retiring. He'd announced that his career was over, and yet after
it
the
was
war,
only the beginning.
His greatest albums. So something happens to him here during the war.
Matti Friedman, author of Who by Fire, thank you so very much for this. Thank you.
Hey, I see you liked it. Want more? Just hit the subscribe button right here. Go on. I know you want to.